Okay, I'm hitting traffic on 78 West, coming over the hill. I'm now going to burn a bunch of time just so that my employer can see my badge swipe in a database.
Has it been?
It's not life anymore. It's like being in hell.
How long has this been your home? How long have you lived here?
I've been in this house for 65 years. My children grew up here. My grandchildren. It's been a long time.
It must be very hard to leave.
You know, in the beginning it seemed possible. We thought we'll sit it out. Maybe it'll be okay. But already, the ground is shaking. And it seems to be that it's dangerous to stay here.
Pokrovsk is coming under heavy Russian attack, bombing, shelling. Today is extremely cold, snowy. There's fog. Visibility is very poor. That's actually good for the evacuation team. It means that they'll be less visible to Russian drones.
Добрий день. Евакуація безкоштовна.
Along the way, whenever Anton spots a civilian, he urges them to go. There'll be street battles, I promise you. He warns a group of 3 who have been collecting water. The last pickup of the day is 75-year-old Luba, who looks bereft and flinches at every explosion we hear. What has the situation been like in the last few days and few weeks?
It's been bad. Bad. We've been left alone under the clear sky. There are no authorities here, just nothing. People are getting killed under the sky. There's no gas, no water, just nothing. We've been abandoned. Everyone has abandoned us.
75-year-old Luba ending that report by Orla Garin. Since Orla and her team traveled to Pokrovsk, a Russian drone attack hit one of base UA's vehicles. A British volunteer lost an arm and most of his leg in the attack. He's in stable condition, but base UA have for now suspended their operations in the city. Police evacuations are continuing. Stay with us on NewsHour.
Distribution of the BBC World Service News Hour in the United States is made possible by American Public Media, producer and distributor of award-winning public radio content, engaging audiences, creating meaningful experiences, and fostering conversations. APM, American Public Media. With support from Glassdoor, see who's hiring, what they're paying, and join conversations with professionals in the new Glassdoor community. Now with expert tips for career success from best-selling work-life author Adam Grant. All on the Glassdoor app.
A will or estate plan speaks volumes about your hopes and dreams for the future. As we look ahead to our next 100 years, designating WNYC as part of your legacy will ensure that quality public radio programs are here for future generations. To learn more about our Centennial Legacy Challenge, visit wnyc.org/legacy.
This is John Schaefer, host of New Sounds. Join me for hand-picked, genre-free music 24/7 on the WNYC app. To download the WNYC app, simply go to wnyc.org/app.
WNYC is supported by New Jersey Department of Transportation. Winter weather can make driving difficult. NJDOT reminds listeners to drive with extra caution. Take it slow and give themselves more stopping distance. Together, we can help save lives and make our roadways safer.
Today on the Brian Layer Show, hear the latest on which city priorities Mayor Adams emphasized in his trip to Albany yesterday, plus how Elon Musk tries to expand presidential power and what President Trump might do with it. Those conversations more at 10 this morning on WNYC. 30 with clouds now. Today, partly sunny, mid-30s, feeling as cold as 20. Snow overnight. Tomorrow, winter weather advisory. Snow, freezing rain, sleet in the morning. A high of 40, feeling as cold as 20.
This is NewsHour coming to you on the BBC World Service. Thousands of residents have left Santorini after earthquakes were recorded near the Greek island for a fourth consecutive day. Experts say they don't know the exact cause of the sudden series of tremors, but say they do not appear to be linked to volcanic activity. Santorini's mayor, Nikos Zorzos, said emergency plans had been devised should the worst happen.
We must deal with it with patience and calm. This seismic activity may last many weeks. We have planned for places for shelter for the population without structures, and on level surfaces there are 8 places that can accommodate people. We have recorded all the people with special needs who may need to be transferred at some point during an event. We have devised plans to provide food for those that will be outdoors.
Derek Gatopoulos is an Associated Press journalist in the Greek capital. He's joining us live. Derek, you've spent the last few days in Santorini. What's it like there? Could you feel the tremors?
Yes, hi there. Yeah, you certainly can feel the tremors. Sometimes they are several per hour, and they are very strong. They jolt the whole island, but they are relatively short-lasting, and there have been several hundred since last Friday.
And so what are the people on the island saying? How are they dealing with all of this?
Well, on the one hand, Greeks are very used to earthquakes. It's a very seismic country, and everybody has some personal experience of feeling earthquakes, including people in Athens and other cities. But on the other hand, people are leaving mostly as a precaution because it is the low season, and most of the people who are leaving are waiting it out for several weeks, and they are generally the largest group, I should say, is migrant workers, or not migrant workers, seasonal workers who are in construction and hospitality, and they feel that they can go back to their homes for a few months maybe, or even a few weeks, and then wait for the situation to calm.
What are the authorities doing, both on the island and the mainland?
Well, the frequency of earthquakes is very unusual. That's called a swarm, where you have many dozen earthquakes of similar magnitude, which is unusual. It usually goes up or down. So that's certainly a cause for concern, because there's always the lurking fear that this could be a build-up to a bigger quake. Having said that, after a certain number of days, they tend to get a bit more optimistic because the tension is relieved from the undersea fault line. Having said that, also, they are taking unusually large amount of precautions because it is an area that is under, a lot of scrutiny, and they are islands with old structures. And so they have evacuation plans and landing plans for the military and so on to bring in supplies. There are already people pre-positioned, rescuers pre-positioned there. So it's a wait and see, but there is a lot of readiness, which is actually unusual for a quake that hasn't caused any serious damage at all, or any injuries.
What's it like to live on the island? Is it possible to sleep? What's it like to eat while you're undergoing all of this stress?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to sleep because you do get woken up, and sleep isn't very, a stretch for many hours. But having said that, also it's fairly, there's no damage, and that's a relief. The actual island itself is...
That's an interesting machine. I guess it's just a milling machine or something. You can't quite be sure. Big and heavy and expensive.
We'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid, Rick.
Oh, that's almost a living room on that trailer there. Let's jump out and have a quick sit down there.
Oh. Well, let's end the program with some good news. Mosul, a major hub in northern Iraq, is beginning to be reborn after years of devastation wrought by ISIS. Historic buildings in Mosul, including churches and mosques, are being reopened after years of reconstruction in the aftermath of the devastation. The project began a year after ISIS was defeated and driven out of the city in 2017. It's been organized and funded by the UN agency, UNESCO. Our Middle East regional editor Sebastian Usher reports on the opening ceremony for Mosul's special sites.
The bells of Al-Tahira Church ring out across Mosul, a symbol of the rebirth of the old city that was left devastated 8 years ago after the battle to drive ISIS out.
It was like a ghost town, dead bodies around, sickening smell and horrible scenes of the city, and the skyline without the Hadba minaret. The cityscape is full of rubble, and the river of Tigris, one of the most joyous places around town.
A Mosul photographer, Ali al-Baroudi, recalls the horror that greeted him when he first entered the old city shortly after the street-by-street battle was over in 2017, with the gloriously skewed Al-Hadba minaret, known as the Hunchback, that had been emblematic of Mosul for hundreds of years, in ruins.
It was not the city that we knew. It was like a metamorphosis of not even, we never imagined that, not even in our worst nightmares.
80% of the old city of Mosul and the west bank of the Tigris was destroyed. It was not just the churches, mosques and old houses that needed to be repaired, but the community spirit of those who'd lived there for so long in relative harmony between religions and ethnicities. A year later, the huge task of rebuilding began under the auspices of UNESCO, with a budget of $115 million that the UN Cultural Agency had managed to drum up, much of it from the UAE and the European Union. Father Olivier Poquillon, a Dominican priest, returned to Mosul to help oversee the restoration of the convent of Notre-Dame de l'Air, known locally as Al-Sah, which was founded nearly 200 years ago.
We started by the beginning, trying first to gather a team composed of people from Old Mosul, from different denominations, Christians, Muslims, working all together. That was the first challenge we had to face, and that was probably the greatest achievement, because if you want to rebuild a building, you've got first to build trust.
In charge of the entire project, which included the restoration of 124 old houses, has been the architect Maria Rita Akatozo, who came to Mosul straight from restoration work for UNESCO in Afghanistan.
I hope the reconstruction will bring back hope in the communities and will favor the recovery of their cultural identity and memory.
Architect Maria Rita Akatoza, ending that report by Sebastian Usher. From me, Celia Hatton, and the rest of the team on NewsHour, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening.
This is WNYC, FM, HD, and AM, New York.
The Brian Lehrer Show on WNYC. I'm Bridget Bergen, senior reporter in the WNYC and Gothamist newsroom. Brian's going to be off for a few days for vacation, but there's lots of news. President Trump has been back in the White House for, let's check the calendar, a little over 2 weeks. In that time, he or his deputies have fired or threatened to fire thousands of federal employees, began investigating officials at the FBI and the Department of Justice who were involved in investigations into him and his administration, has empowered Elon.
Okay, looks like we have to merge again here. This is really inconvenient. They're going to push us to one lane, probably for just a few meters. Yep. Just a few meters here because they want apparently the one lane down on 78 West, so they have to force everyone to 2 meters to go through the traffic, even if you're coming off here to go 287. Okay, by my reckoning, I just burnt 17 minutes purely because I need to get to a corporate building and get a badge swipe. Thanks, guys.